We've embarked on a monumental trip driving from the eastern part of Canada all the way to its west coast. Last week, we presented the first part of our journey starting in Quebec City and to Montreal and Ottawa. From Ottawa, we drove along the Trans-Canada Highway to Toronto. We continue our Trans-Canadian expedition as we head further west, driving across great roads, taking in the magnificent sights and visiting Canada's most iconic destinations. Toronto is the largest city in Canada by population, with around 2.7 million residents. It is a hub of business, finance, arts and trade, and is recognized as one of the most multicultural and cosmopolitan cities in the world. Downtown Toronto is home to an icon of Canada's skyline, the CN Tower. Among the tallest structures in the world, CN Tower is 1,815.3 feet high, equivalent to 147-story building. Elevators traveling at speeds of 22 kilometers per hour take visitors up to the observation deck. From here, you can treat your eyes to a splendid view of Toronto and its skyline.
No points for guessing what's behind me right now. These are the Niagara Falls. Today is a particularly cold day, but when the skies are clear, there are helicopter rides as well if you fancy those. This is definitely a must-visit place if you're coming to Canada. It's very close to Toronto, just 1.5 to 2 hours drive from there, and trust me, it's worth every penny. This is the place to be if you want to see something truly epic and truly unique.
There's about 2,400 cubic meters of water flowing over the edge every second. The falls drain Lake Erie into Lake Ontario via the Niagara River. American Falls, Bridal Veil Falls, and the Canadian Horseshoe falls collectively from the Niagara Falls. Geological events dating back 10,000 years created the falls as well as the 5 Great Lakes. The journey behind the falls leads you to tunnels 150 feet beneath and let you go up close and personal with the might of the water flowing over each second. It's not just the visual, but the aural experience that makes an impression, courtesy the thunderous sound of water falling over the edge. And that's not all. Element on the Falls restaurant lets you enjoy the incredible view while enjoying fine food. Trust us, it rarely gets better than this. The North American continent houses the 5 Great Lakes, and we encountered the first of these at the quiet little town of Niagara on the Lake, which sits on the shore of Lake Ontario. The charming town with its beautiful streets and inviting stores is famous for its wineries. Apart from the falls, the Niagara region, these wineries are a big draw for tourists. Among the best in the region is Chateau des Champs. Founded in 1978 by Paul Bosque, he planted Canada's first commercial vineyard dedicated exclusively to European varieties, something that had long been considered impossible in Canada's climate. The good folks at the winery gave us a tour of their facility, guiding us through the wine-making process, followed by a sampling of some of their finest varieties of wines. It goes without saying that this was the best part of the tour. With the snow picking up and lights fading away, we decided to call it a day and head back to Toronto and gear up for a 7-hour drive to our next destination. Sault Ste. Marie. We made our way back to the Trans-Canada Highway just as Toronto's rush hour traffic was starting to build up. Once outside city limits, we were able to get a move on making steady progress towards our destination. 4 lanes became 2 as we trundled along through the beautiful landscapes with snow-covered trees and small lakes for company. The small town in Ontario with a population of just 75,000 sits on the banks of the St. Mary River between Lake Huron and Lake Superior. The bridge you see here over the river connects Sault Ste. Marie with the town of the same name on the other side of the border in Michigan, USA. The St. Mary River basically acts as a border between the 2 North American nations. After spending a couple of hours roaming the streets of Sault Ste. Marie, we headed back to the bank of the river just in time to catch the sunset. Next morning, before the sun could rise, we set off once again on the Trans-Canada Highway deeper into the heart of the country. Our route to Winnipeg, Manitoba turned out to be the most picturesque we'd ever encountered. For much of the drive, we had Lake Superior for company on our left. The largest of the 5 Great Lakes, Lake Superior is shared by Canada and the USA. It's the world's largest freshwater lake by surface area, covering 82,100 square kilometers, and the 3rd largest freshwater lake by volume. Together with the other 4, the Great Lakes account for 21% of the world's surface freshwater by volume. The sheer size of the lake needs to be seen to be believed. Lake aside, the road threw up spectacular views too. We would have kept at it, but the journey from Sault Ste. Marie to Winnipeg was a 14-hour one covering over 1,400 kilometers, so we had to get a move on. Winnipeg is almost the longitudinal center of Canada and also marks the completion of the first half of our Trans-Canadian expedition. Join us over the coming weeks as we head further west to the Canadian Rockies and on to the west coast, bringing you more scenic roads, stunning visuals, and a tour of the best places to visit in Canada.